Jeez, man. It is so nice out here, though.
Yeah. Just out here in nature, sounds like.
Yeah.
The wife's put a lot of work into this year.
I put so I put that dirt that I came by to get yesterday. I put that in. It filled half a bed. So the way I look at it, and I did it in lifts. So I did like probably 3 or 4 lifts, and it lifted it up, pretty good. So I figure for the other 3 beds, what I'll do is I'll do a layer or 2 of that, and then I'll put the topsoil on top of it. It just, I put the backside of my fence or my barrier up. I use those little posts, and I put the owl just behind it.
Oh yeah.
And I told you my oldest, she went outside this morning to go out and kind of just be outside. And she was like, normally I like to go out and hear the birds sing and look for the birds and see the squirrels. She was like, there was nothing in the yard this morning. And I'm like, oh, yes, it worked.
Well, now that you tell me that, I'm going to get one because those birds have been tearing up my blueberries, and we had to put a netting over the blueberries. Yeah. And it just looks like hell.
I got a little $5 post, and I just hammered it probably about a foot down into the ground. I mean, you saw the posts in my SUV yesterday. My SUV.
It's not an SUV. you got a Subaru, man.
It's a luxury vehicle.
It's a box munching mobile is what it is. But.
So yeah, I hung that. I put the stake in the ground, and I just hung the owl on it. And that thing sits there, and it's kind of weird because, like, you saw the head moves. The head, it doesn't move. Like, if you touch it, it's going to spin around. But if you just let it move, like, naturally, it just kind of scans. And it's so weird. It is so weird.
So what to do it, man.
My wife was looking at it, and she was like, wait, how much did this cost? I was like, yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Well, I'll tell you this. That coon I shot last night, I've been building this little homestead now for about 3 or 4 years. I've never seen a coon on this place.
Really?
That was the first one.
Where was it?
Well, so I was sitting in the kitchen, and my daughter comes running in, and she's, Daddy, there's a raccoon out back. And I looked down, I was like, there ain't no raccoon out there. I hadn't seen one the entire time I've been here.
Yeah.
And she was like, look. And so I went over there and looked out the window, and I was like, holy shit, that's a raccoon. And so in the kitchen, because I also have a tree rat problem, and I hate tree rats. I keep one of them 22s in the kitchen.
Got to.
And so he got greased. I'll have to show you the video later because my camera caught it when I told Ashley that I shot it.
There's nothing like getting videos of your buddies killing animals. that is like, I'm at the point in life where I think, and it all started when you sent me the chicken or the rooster video.
That guy was an asshole.
I'm at the point in life where I like getting videos of or pictures of like new projects, like when you sent me the railroad ties and everything else. But there's nothing like a good video of your buddy just absolutely harvesting squirrels from the kitchen window. You know what I mean?
You have no idea how white trash that is, but it's awesome. I will tell you this: the railroad ties in the corn patch. That I was furious about that, but at the end of the day, it made me feel good about myself. And you want to know why? Because
you still got it.
Well, I went down to Lowe's because that's the only place around here you can get them damn railroad ties, and they're not horrible, man. Like $27 a piece. I mean, a little expensive than I've wanted, but whatever. And so I bought those things, and I got this Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
And it's one of the newer ones. It's a 19. It's not the old body style, but there's only so much you can haul in it. And I bought all these railroad ties. I'm gonna haul them all back in this Ranger.
How many did you get total?
Oh God, I think there's like 15 back there.
Did you put all 15 of them in?
It took 2 trips, man.
Okay, I was gonna say, good Lord, man.
I don't think that the tires would have taken it, but I bought those things, and the lady, when I bought them from her, she was like, "Okay, thank you." And I was like, "No, you're gonna call somebody to help me load these things,
them in
right?
The truck.
Like they weigh about 200 pounds a piece." And she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll call somebody." I sat outside of Lowe's for like 20 minutes waiting for this guy to show up.
Yeah.
Guy finally shows up, and he gets on the forklift, and it takes him like a good solid 2 minutes to get the thing cranked.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting there messing with the controls, trying to figure out how they work.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, all right, you're good. I don't need no help. I am now past that because I know he's going to stab the side of my truck.
Tear your truck up.
Thing. So I hand loaded them bastards into the truck. And then when I got here, I pulled the truck up to the gate, and I realized that where the corn patch is, I can't get the tractor in there.
I mean, if at best you could probably pull the, would the truck fit in?
Yeah, the truck will fit in here.
Truck will fit in here, but you still got to get back there on the back side
Yep.
of everything. And
so I had to hand load and hand carry those things over there and set them in place. And by the time I was done with it, man, I was just a sweaty, nasty mess, and I was furious.
yeah.
But after I got done with everything, I was like, yeah, I can
Yeah.
still do that.
How long did it take you? So you put them in place, and then you brought in fill dirt, or you brought in the compost from down in the bottom.
All the compost, man.
How long
I still
did the
got
compost?
a pretty good bit.
Did you just dump the compost over the?
So I could get the tractor
fence?
just over by the watermelon patch,
Yeah.
and then I had to hand shovel
And you just,
everything in there, and I just shoveled it and raked it down.
dude, I tell you, man, that compost is heavy.
Dude,
Those bins we loaded yesterday. So when I got into my yard, I backed down, but I backed into the grass and came down over to, so that way I was right next to where the garden beds were. And I can't just slide those things out and drop them because they'll break. So I have to take them out, and I'm on the hill. So it's like, take them out, set them down. And then once I get them set down, then I can drag them. But I was like, man, this is only 3 small bins. Like if I had a tractor.
I went down there and did one big scoop of compost because I thought you were going to bring more. You didn't even take up a quarter.
I barely touched it.
Yeah, you barely touched it.
But you know what? I'm going to have to come. I thought about coming to get some more today, but I was like, what's more important? Getting compost or shooting content? And I
Getting
was like,
compost.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, well.
So you see, you look over there at my neighbors, they got a little horse farm over there.
Yeah.
You see that big old pile right there in the
I
middle?
didn't realize they had 3 horses.
No, they got like 6, dude.
Are there really?
Yeah, the rest of them are down on the bottom. But that big old pile right there is horse shit. Now, I'll give this old woman her credit, man.
Mm-hmm.
She gets up every morning and she lets those horses out, and
Yeah.
then she will go all over the property and scoop up horse shit, which, you know,
That's a pretty tall mound over there.
it was twice that big.
Oh my gosh.
So what I do is every once in a while when it gets up pretty high, I'll take the tractor over there and I'll take about half of it. It takes like 8 or 9 loads, but I'll take half of it and I'll go down there.
Yeah.
And between that and the chicken litter and all the stuff we produce in the kitchen and everything,
Yeah.
dude.
So she's cool with you, just like, hey, I'm.
Oh yeah. Well, they use it for fill dirt. They leave it out there for like a year or so.
Yeah.
Let it
harden
do
a
its
bit.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then they use it for fill dirt. So
How do you get over? Do you have to go around?
yeah, I've got to go up the road and go all the way around. They leave the gate open for
You
me.
just
when I
go
say
in
when
this
I do
gate
it.
right here.
There is no gate right there.
I'm talking about on the
on the other
on
side.
the other side.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But
I mean that'll double, triple your compost right there.
well, it's good to use for fill dirt,
Mhm.
just right off. But if you put horse crap in your like in your beds, like if I just put the horse crap in the beds, you wouldn't get nothing to grow in it, man. It's
Yeah.
just too hot. It's too.
You have to mix
You have to
it
let
up.
it compost.
Speaking of heat, so my compost, I went out yesterday after I added the compost to it. I went out yesterday and I stirred up that grass, those grass clippings in there, and it's pretty toasty.
Yeah,
Like
it gets hot.
that stuff was burnt.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, cool. It's working. We're cooking with gas now.
Well, so how I learned how to do that stuff wasn't like, you know, this is all part of the stuff we talked about a while back about how the old arts are dying.
Mm-hmm.
And like my dad never taught me how to do that because my dad never did it, you know. And Ashley's dad,
Mm-hmm.
when he was young, they did organic farming. But they didn't do organic farming because he was a hippie.
Yeah.
They did it because they were dirt floor poor,
Yeah.
and they couldn't afford anything.
They had to. Yeah.
And so he taught me how to turn grass clippings into ready to go on the ground compost in like 2 weeks.
Really.
And it is labor intensive,
Mhm.
but it works.
Well, I bought. I mean, I have a. I've been using that root thing to stir it up. That root thing that you showed up to my house and realized that I have your stuff at my house. Which,
Let me take a side thing and talk about how you are crushing my property right now.
speaking of which, I was going to go into that. I am the typical African American population. So let's start at the top, right? I break the 4-wheelers
Yeah.
perpetually. I've broken both of them.
Yep.
Maybe both of them I've broken twice. Maybe. I don't know.
You ran into the house with one of them.
I crashed into your house with a 4-wheeler.
Yep.
Then you show up at my house to help me out and you find your tools at my house.
Yep.
Actually, twice, because the drill, the impact drill. So that's twice I've had
Man,
your tools and you had no clue where they were.
when I was building that thing and I couldn't find my impact drill, I blamed Charlotte.
Yeah.
I blamed Ashley.
Oh my gosh.
I was furious the entire time I was building it because
So
these damn women just taking my tools and running
for those
off
of
with
you
them.
watching, I show up because I asked him if I could borrow it. This is one of the things that I asked if I could borrow.
I was probably drunk when he asked. I don't remember.
And I show up to his house to return it. And I was like, hey, here's your drill. He had just finished this project that's right behind the cameras. And he looks at me, he goes, you had my impact drill this entire time? And I'm like, dude, you said I could use it. And then I realized that he had to build that entire washout station with the crappy drill when there was an impact drill that had been used for like an hour. I used it to put up a doggy gate in our laundry room.
I was so mad. I wasn't mad at you. I was just, you know, I'd already blamed every member of my family for losing this drill. So
outside of that, outside of stealing your stuff, so then I come out here and I'm shooting guns. I may or may not have shot out the kitchen window.
Yep.
So now I'm shooting, stealing, recklessly driving and crashing cars. I'm wreaking havoc on your property value.
You know what? I had the guy that I went down to help earlier today. I took my tractor down the road to help a guy fill in something.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat there and talked about it for a minute.
Yeah.
And dude, that just a 1 in a million shot.
Yeah.
Like it just
Well, I told you I was racking my brain, and I remember specifically because I was talking to Josh when I was down there, and that target was spinning because someone shot the chain. I don't know who. They'll never know.
Let's not talk about all the chains you
They'll never
shot
figure out who shot the chain. No,
that's a running joke in one of our group chats with
Tyler shot the chain.
Tyler.
Tyler shot the chain.
Yeah, but Tyler shot the chain because he's in a wheelchair and he was using an automatic weapon. You shot the chain because you stand 15 feet from the target and can't hit the target.
15 yards, first of all, and I did hit the target. That counts. So I shot the chain. That target was spinning, and while it was literally still in motion, and I shot it again. And I was like, oh man, I shot the target while it was spinning. And I think I did that. I think he and I both did that maybe 2 or 3 times. And that was before we went out to 100. Because when we went out to 100, we were kind of biased to the right of the target. So that way we're shooting, if any range pennies come off the steel, it's gonna bounce and go at an angle. So when you sent me that, I racked my brain. I told my wife, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, we shot out their kitchen window. And she was like, you're paying for it because you're irresponsible and you don't know how to shoot.
I like your wife.
And I was like, I am irresponsible. I kind of don't know how to shoot. Okay, I'll pay for it. And that was when I was like, okay, I'll pay for it. But
no, I found a place over in, because I got another window that it just for no reason cracked.
Yeah.
And for no reason, one of the kids did it.
Yeah.
For no reason cracked.
It just happened.
And you know, they're double paned,
Mm-hmm.
and the shot went through one pane, it didn't go through the other. But I got to get both these windows done. And if you try to buy new ones, like they don't even make those anymore.
Yeah,
man.
I was gonna say it's gonna be.
But you can go and get them repainted, and they're not horribly expensive.
Yeah.
So I need to go do that.
I know that I wasn't looking forward to having to pay for that. I was not looking forward.
I'll tell you what you can do is you can go to Lowe's and get some plywood that I could put over the window whenever I go, because it's going to take them a couple days to repaint it.
I'm just making sure these cameras are still recording.
Actually, I got something I do want to talk to you about, man.
Israel?
So, well, no, I've enjoyed the rift that's happening with Israel
right now.
now.
Oh my gosh, dude, I'm so entertained.
But no, I've been, you know, I don't watch that many podcasts.
Yeah.
And you told me about the stuff that's going on with the Buffalo school system.
Oh, dude.
And I watched those boys. I watched like
Unsubscribe. Shout out to Eli, Nick, Cody, Brandon. These guys. So I watched it last night, the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact, did you see Nick's binder?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
You do not want to be in his crosshairs. That dude, I mean, honestly, I'm sorry, I cut you off, but
well, no, you can't. I am mind blown that happened, and I'm mind blown that that Angry Cops has had to go through what he's had to go through. to try to protect kids. I am just absolute mind blown.
So angry cops,
This right here is why we have our kids in the co-op.
exactly.
Like
That is
you ain't
100%.
doing that shit.
That is 100% why I homeschool. And I
Unreal.
realized, my wife and I talked about it today. We've been homeschooling for, this will be our 6th year. We've been homeschooling since before COVID, or right around COVID. And I watched that video last night when I got home, and I just, it's insane, because that's one school district in one city in one state that's however many miles away. There's no telling what that looks like across the board.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is the problem, and this is, maybe it's me being a boomer, but this is the problem. There ain't enough people that run schools or that run school boards that have been drug out in the parking lot after a meeting, and just had their shit pushed in.
Yep.
That's
they haven't been held accountable.
If you have money, accountability is just a foreign concept to you. All right. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get fined. I'm gonna have to pay. No, there needs to be physical, severe consequences,
but
and it needs to come from the parents.
Here's what happens though. A cop messes up, they want to crucify him. And not just that cop that messed up, but every cop across the nation. A teacher or a school board member messes up, they keep their job, they, stall the investigation, then they retire, then they're out of there.
Yep.
So, of course, Nick pointed out the issues with the DA. When you get a subpoena, so I've gotten a subpoena before. I'm not going to go too far into detail. I got a subpoena before and didn't show up for the court date. That same day, I was at my arraignment deciding whether I wanted a court appointed or to represent myself. Literally facing jail time that day.
Yep.
And so the fact that these people are ignoring subpoena and they're saying, oh, we facilitated our own investigation, we found no wrongdoing.
Yeah, the hell.
Come on. And the fact that that's accepted. There's no action. They're not held accountable. They retire. The one lady was drinking wine in a school board meeting, Zoom meeting, drinking wine, and she flicks off the camera and says FUB to whoever she was talking to.
Classic.
And you know what her pastor said? Oh, this is an attempted virtual lynching. And I'm like,
what the hell does a pastor have to do with what's going on?
Do you not realize the fact, I don't think people realize the extreme violence that took place under Jim Crow. And the fact that people are like, oh, America's more racist now. I'll tell you now. And I know I mentioned this to you. I experienced racism quite a bit throughout my life. But guess what? When I experience it, it's like, dang, that sucks. If I see someone who, hey, that guy doesn't like, people of color for this reason or this reason, if it doesn't affect me and they're not trying to drag me into the streets, it is what it is.
I'll tell you this.
It's not okay. I'm not.
No,
before the internet clips this and says that I'm saying I'm advocating for racism.
Racism is okay. So, Kanye's new song. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's a banger.
I was I grew up, and I grew up on the Gulf Coast. I've lived in Louisiana. I've lived in Mississippi. I lived most of my life. I lived in Georgia, South Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. And you would think that I was just used to seeing racism. Okay. I will tell you the only time in my life where I saw actual blatant racism. All right.
In the Marine Corps.
Yes, I was in the Marine Corps when it happened, but it wasn't a Marine doing it. Okay. There's a difference between busting balls and being actually racist. I was in Romania. All right. And we had a guy that was in charge of the debt that I was over there with. He was a gunny, and he was acting as a first sergeant. And he was a black dude, and he was a former drill instructor, and he was kind of a pain in the ass about some stuff. But for the most part, we didn't have to deal with him because we were EOD. We did our own thing. Yeah. Well, one of the things I could not avoid and I had to do is the staff NCOs over there had to do shore patrol. And so, you get the van, you go out and you hit all the places in Constanta that all the Marines like to hang out at to make sure nobody's acting like an idiot. And
which I'm sure they were.
Oh yeah, they all do. They absolutely do. Well, doing that shore patrol stuff, you figure out the good places to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so one night we all decided to go out. There was this little club over in Castanta, and it was springtime, so everything was opening up. And back then in Romania, man, like you were rich.
Yeah.
You went over there, you were
You
rich.
had money.
You go to the ATM, and you could pull out $20, and you had a roll of lay like that big. It was great. So we decided to go to this place because it was cheap bottle service. You could go in there and buy a bottle of Jack Daniels for like $15, and you just got treated like royalty all night long.
Yeah.
And so I'd been there before, and we decided to go back, and that Gunny was looking to go out with us. And I was like, yeah, come on, man. We'll go have a good time, We rolled up there, and we walk in, the bouncer's right there, and he's let, like, my teammate goes in first, and then I go in behind him, and then Gunny comes in, and that bouncer put his hand right on his chest. And he was like, you don't have a reservation. And he's like, no, I'm with them. He's like, they have reservations. You have
don't.
No reservation. You can't come in here.
Jeez.
And what I figured out
Shout out
was,
to Romania.
Well, what I figured out is that before we took over that little base to go do whatever shenanigans the Marine Corps was trying to do in Eastern Europe, that was one of the bases that people came back from Afghanistan and had to go through.
Yeah.
It was called Mikhail Kogalenichu.
Mm-hmm.
Big old term. But it was an army base.
Yeah.
And all they did there was they brought people in, and they would run through, customs and all that stuff before they took off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was the army guys that were running it, and it was mostly black dudes there at the base.
Yeah.
And those guys had gone out in town, and they
tore the town
acted a fool.
They broke the four-wheelers and shot the windows.
They shot the windows. They broke the four-wheelers. They refused to dig post holes.
I didn't refuse to dig the post hole. I wasn't good at it. There's a difference.
But they had done all this stuff, and so the Romanians were like, those guys are all about money.
Yeah.
And if you had money, you could do whatever you wanted to. But
that's why Andrew Tate's out there.
It was so bad that they had decided the money wasn't worth it.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the first time I ever saw something that was like, Jesus, that was racist.
Kind of messed up. That's funny. Good Lord, man.